Hey guys, this is Tuesday's Math Notes. We're going to be doing 3 different lessons, but please do not worry. I will adjust the lesson so you won't be doing too much. Today we're going to be learning how to divide 2-digit numbers. This is just an introduction, remember. We're starting off real slow. And then we're going to learn how to deal with remainders. All right? Okay, so let's go. A grocery store only sells eggs by the dozen. There are 12 dozen eggs and 1 dozen eggs. If there are 624 eggs in stock, how many dozens of eggs are there? Okay, so here's one way to model it. Now, when it says model it, it just means a way to do the problem. Okay, guys, that's all it means. So what we would do is we are going to show the relationship between division and multiplication. Now, we're going to estimate. We're not going to give the direct quotient. Now, remember, quotient means the answer to a division problem. So, we have our dividend, which is 624, and then our divisor, which is 12. Okay. So let's go right here. So we're going to do by tens. 10 dozen eggs would be 120 eggs. 20 eggs would be 240. 30 eggs would be 360. 40 eggs would be 480. 50 eggs would be 600. 60 eggs would be 720. So since the number is 624, that lies in between 50 and 60 dozen. Because 624 lies in between these two numbers. So your quotient is going to be between 50 to 60. So it can be anywhere from 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, or even up to, it's not going to be 60 because that's too many. So that's what your quotient is going to be between. Another way to do it is to use the area model. The area model would be the dividend inside the box and 12. That's the divisor outside. So now we have 624. You could go ahead and do the 3 different boxes, but I know that 12 will not go into 6, so I'm not going to mess with the hundreds place. So what times 12 will get, what number can I multiply to get close to 624 when I multiply it by 12? Well, since this is the tens box, my answer is going to be something like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Now, I can go up here and use my little thing, and I can go, well, it's going to be 50. So 50 times 12 is 600. So I subtract the 600 from 624, and I get 24. I kick the number up, and I say how many times will 12 go into 24? And it's 2. Add 50 and 2 together, and you get 52. Now, you will record the calculations from the model as partial quotients. Now, your partial quotient would be these two numbers right here, the two numbers, because they're like when you did your area model with multiplication. It's part of the quotient, but it's not the complete answer. Okay? So let's go right here. This is your quotient. Partial quotients, okay? How many hundreds are there in the dividend? How many hundreds are there in the dividend? Now remember, the dividend is what's being divided into. So how many hundreds are there in 624? 6. Very good. All right, so there are 6 hundreds. All right. Now, how many groups of 12 can we have in 600 without going over? How many groups? 50. We'll have 50 groups. All right, so what happens is, to show this is correct, we would go 12, because there are 12 in a dozen, times 50 equals 600. Now, back when we did this over here, what's the question? Why did we subtract 600 from 624? Why did we do that? Why did we do that? Well, because we had to find what was left over. We had to find out what was left over after finding the first partial product, or partial quotient, I'm sorry. So when you have a partial, that means you don't have the complete answer. So we had to find out what our other number was so we could find our other partial product, or I'm sorry, quotient. I'm going to say partial product, and I'm sorry. If kids were in here, they would be saying you said it wrong. That's one thing I miss about y'all not being in my room. Okay, how does the area model relate to finding the second partial quotient? Well, the area model shows that 12 times 2 is 24. So the area model shows that 12 times 2 is 24. All right, so the product 24 is recorded under 24 in the area model. Basically, what that means is that 12 divides into 24 two times. That's all it's saying. Okay. So 12 will divide into 24 two times. Number 5, explain how to use partial quotients to find 624 divided by 12. Well, like we do on all partial products, or partial quotients, is we add. We add the 50 plus the 2 equals 52. Describe how to divide using partial products. Okay, this is going to be a rather long one, but let me just explain it. You don't have to write it down, okay? You do not have to write this down. Okay? Basically, what you do, you have to find a number that can be multiplied by the divisor to give you a product that is less. Okay? It cannot go over the number. Then you subtract the product from the quotient, and you get the answer from the subtraction problem. Then you divide again to get the complete quotient. That's all that is. Okay? That's all that is. Use what you've learned about dividing by two-digit divisors to solve this problem. Show your work on a separate sheet of paper. So, on a separate sheet of paper, whether it be computer paper or notebook paper, we're going to work these problems out, okay? So, we have 1,134 divided by 27. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our box. Now, this has 4 digits, so you would have 4 places in your box. So for your thousands place, your hundreds place, your tens place, and your ones place. Okay, 27. And then 1, 1, 3, 4. Now, look at the number that's in the thousands place. 1. Will 27 go into 1? No, it will not. Will 27 go into 11? No, it will not. See, what I'm doing is you just take the first number like this right here. So the next thing we have 113. Will 27 go into 113? Yes, it will. Now, how do we know this? Well, because 27 will go into 113. So even if you wanted to, you can come down here like they did over here. 10 times 27 is 270. So 10 would be too much. So we know we're going to go less than 10. All right. So we have 12 times 1 is 27. Or we could just say this. How many times will 2 go into 11? 5 times. So I'm going to come right over here and go 27 times 5. Okay, that's too much. What I just did is a trick that Mr. Walker taught me, and it doesn't give you the answer. It just gives you a place to start. You take the very first digit, which is a 2, and you take either the first or the first 2 digits, and you ask yourself, how many times will the 2 go into 11? And we said 5, but that was too much. So I'm going to go down to the 4. 7 times 4 is 28. Carry my 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus that is... All right, so we have 40. No, we don't. Yeah, we do. I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing. Okay, so that would be 180. Okay, now we're going to subtract. Then 8 minus 13, that is... See, we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 5. Yeah, that's right. This is going to have remainders, right? Yes. Okay. Guys, I messed this up. 1 second. 27 times 40. 0. 7 times 4 is 28. Okay. And then that's 1,000. That's what I did. And I did this right here. Minus this. See? And I get 54. All right. I was subtracting wrong. I apologize. Okay, so now I'm going to slip up the 54 up here and say how many times will 27 go into 54. You can use the trick once again. How many times will 2 go into 5 without going over? You can say 2. So 27 times 2 happens to be 54. So your answer is 42. Okay, now this next way, didn't like that paper. I apologize for that. I got confused on the subtraction part. I don't know why. Okay, so the next one is Nathan writes an essay with a total of 583 words. Every line on his essay has 11 words. How many lines long is Nathan's essay? Okay, so we're going to do the other way. So, stay right here. What we're going to do is we are going to work with the 583 first. So I'm going to put a box, and I'm going to make my boxes a little bigger. Okay. And that was my fault. I should have made my box bigger. That's what got me confused on the last problem. All right, so how many times will 11 go in to 58 without going over? I have 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66. 5 times. So remember, this is my 10 spot. So I would have 50 times 11 is 550. Now I subtract. Now, how many times will 11 go into 33? Should be real simple. 3 times. So your answer is 53. See how much, like, if you give yourself enough room. So that's why I always say write neat and not like I did on that other sheet. I gave you an example of what not to do. See, I did that all along. I knew what I was doing. Okay, what we're going to be working with next is remainders. Now, a remainder comes around when you're dividing and it will not go in there nice and even. You have what we call a remainder. Remainders are not something to be scared of. They're just there. It's something we got to deal with. Okay, so I have Andrew has collected 1,478 comic books. He packs the comic books in the boxes that hold 35 comic books. How many boxes does he fill? All right, the one thing we can do is we can do the area model, which we all love. Okay. Or we can do the partial quotients. Now, neither one of these ways are my favorite, but we still have to work with them. So, what happens is it fills up at least 42 boxes and you'll have 8 left over. Now, you're going to have questions like this on your test that are going to say, how many boxes would he need? And a lot of you would have went ahead and marked 42. But the thing is, he has 8 comic books left. So he actually needs another box just to hold those 8. So those are the types of questions that throw a lot of people off. All right, now, I'm going to be real honest with you. We're not going to answer this because I do not like how they did that. Okay, so we're not even going to worry about this. We are going to work these problems, though. You're not going to get off that easy. Okay, we're going to work these problems. So it says Glenn makes 492 ounces of fruit punch for the school picnic. He pours the punch into pitchers that hold 32 ounces each. When there isn't enough pitchers to fill any more pitchers, when there's not enough punch to fill any more pitchers, Glenn drinks the leftover punch. Well, that's kind of nice for him, isn't it? How many ounces of fruit punch does Glenn drink? Let's hope it's not a lot of fruit punch. So the question is, we have 492 ounces of fruit punch, and they go into pitchers that hold 32 ounces of liquid. So 492 divided by 32 ounces. Now, just to give you an idea, 8 ounces is a cup. So we're talking about 4 cups of liquid here, okay? All right, so let's draw our box. Three lines long. All right, so 32 is on the outside, 492 is on the inside. All right, now, how many times will 32 go into 49 without going over? I know at least one time. So 32 times 10 gives me 320. And then 32 times 2 gives me 640. So it's going to be the 10. Okay, so 10 goes right here. 10 times 32 is 320. All right, so 2 7, 1. So 172. Now, here's where you are going to have a remainder, so do not, don't get too riled up. So I have 32 goes into 172. How many times will 3 go into 17 without going over? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Okay, so 5 times because it's 15. So 32 times 5. Remember, this is a starting point of 10. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 1 is 16. So let's see what the next one would be. 12, 18, 19. Okay, that's too big. So I have 160. So I'm going to go 5. And we are going to have a remainder of 12. So the answer actually is how many ounces of fruit punch does Glenn drink? So this can fit into 15 pitchers evenly. But how many ounces are left over? 12. Okay, the maximum number of students can be seated on a bus. 35 is the maximum number of students can be seated on a bus. 187 students plan to take a bus on a field trip. How many buses are needed for all the students? So once again, we are going to divide 187. So 187 divided by 35. So I'm going to come down here, draw myself a little thing. All right, now, like I did before, how many times will 3 go into 18 without going over? 6 times. It does evenly, but I think this is going to be too much. 30, 18, 20. Ooh, that's way too much. So we're going to go down to 5. 35. Then we have 15, 16, 18. Well, that's pretty close right there. We have a remainder of 2. Now, how many times will 35 go into 2? 0 times. But I can't do anything about it. So I actually have to put a 0 here. 0. 35 times 0 is 0. So that gives me a remainder of 2. So they're going to need 50 buses to hold 35, and then they'll need 1 bus just to hold 2 kids. So how many buses do they need for all the students? 50, and then this over here. So how many buses are they going to need? They're not going to need 50, they're going to need 51 buses. All right. So let's get to the problem right here. Okay, so this one right here set it up for us. This is an example. Okay, this was the example. We have to finish it. So how many times, and you probably will need like a scratch sheet of paper to work out some of your stuff, and that's fine. And if it's a scratch sheet, you don't have to turn it in, okay? So how many times will 6 go into 27 without going over? Well, 6 times 4 is 24, so let's try that. So 60 times 40 is 224. I'm sorry, 240. If we did 60 times 50, that would be 300. So we have to go with the 40. So 4 tens, that would be 40. All right. So we have to now do some subtraction, which I know everybody loves to do. 3 minus 0 is 3. 7 and 4 is 3. All right, now, how many times will 6 go into 33 without going over? 5 times, because 6 times 5 is 30, and we have a remainder of 3. So your answer would be 45 with a remainder of 3. That's one way that you would write it. And that's the way that we're going to stick with for right now. And guys, I'm trusting that you're not using a calculator for this, because that would be not so hot, guys. Okay? Do not use a calculator for this. Okay, I'm going to go right here. Okay, I'm just going to draw the 2 boxes because I know that 3 won't go into 1, and we're not even going to mess with it. All right, now, how many times will 3 go into 16 without going over? Let's try 5. So 3 times 5, or 3 times 50 rather, is 150. It's pretty good with me. 5 times 50, 150. Okay, we have 1 and 1. So we take that and put it up here. Now, how many times will 3 go into 11 without going over? 3, 6, 9. So 3 times. Then 3 times 3 is 9. I have a remainder of 2 again. So 50 plus 3 is 53 with a remainder of 2. Okay, let's skip to these. Okay, so we're going to do the 8 one first. We have 8 on the outside. 798. Now, how many times will 8 go into 79 without going over? 79 is really close to 80, but I can't put a 10 there like that because that would be 10 times 10 is 100, so I can't do that. So let's try 9. And so that would be 90. 9 times 8, 90 times 8 is 720. If I subtract that, I get 78. Okay. Now, how many times will 78 be divided by 8 without going, over? Well, I see right here that 8 times 9 is 72. So, remainder is 6. And I told you it was really close to 80, so our number was going to be really close to 100. So, the answer is 99 with the remainder of 6. Okay, so now I have this one. I'm going to draw these boxes bigger. Okay, so I have 155 divided by 3. How many times will 3 go into 15 without going over? 5 times. And remember, this is the tens place, so it's going to be 50. So that'd be 150. 155 minus 150 is 5. How many times will 3 go into 5 without going over? 1 time. Remainder of 2. So 51 with a remainder of 2. Now, please, please, please do not get up in a tizzy about this, because remember, I'm showing you this to help you when it comes to testing time, but I can probably guarantee you none of you are going to use this when it comes to actually doing division problems. But because this is in our curriculum, I have to show it to you. I'm showing it to you, okay? But after we do this, we're going to start the old-fashioned way, okay? So you guys are going to be responsible for answering these 2 questions right here, or problems. And I'm even setting them up for you. So you just have to walk yourself through the process, okay? And remember, if you get over here and the number will not go into to like this, like it was over on the other page, you just put a 0, okay? Now that is your video notes for the day. Please remember, do not stress out about this. When we get to Thursday and Friday's lesson, you are going to breathe a breath of fresh air because we're still dividing, but we're using the method that your parents and I know. Talk to y'all later.